They need to sit down, stop crying foul, and accept that the FA isn't favouring anyone.
Arsenal have equalled their longest unbeaten run in the Champions League, set by that legendary 05-06 team, making it 13 games.
Still counting after a gritty 1-1 draw in the semi-final first leg against Atletico Madrid.
Mate, how would you rate the team's overall performance at the Metropolitano?
We have to give massive credit to the players for the way they dictated the tempo of the game.
Yeah.
As I have said previously, if we control the match by dominating the middle of the park, which of course is precisely what they did, we can minimize their threat by staving off their rapid transitions. By cutting out the margin for error, we build our advantage from there. Frankly, if not for that genuinely unfair decision from the referee, we could have snatched a late win in Madrid. That would have been a monumental advantage going into the second leg at the Emirates. That being said, a draw away from home is still a fantastic result. It means we've done 60% of the job, and the next step is to simply finish it and advance to the final with our unbeaten record intact.
Spot on. But look, people are pointing to the 9 goals scored between PSG and Bayern, saying we have absolutely no chance against either of them. Punters are praising it as the best game they've ever witnessed in the Champions League, effectively writing Arsenal and Atletico Madrid off. They're saying whoever wins between PSG and Bayern will automatically lift the trophy because boring Arsenal or Atletico will be no match for them. Mate, what's your take on that game compared to ours, and what does the final hold if we can finish Atletico off next week?
I tend to tune out the online chatter. As a fan base, we need to try as much as possible to block out that noise. If we are judging both semi-finals objectively, you cannot simply conclude that because one game was an end-to-end goal fest, it makes them favourites over a more tactically balanced affair. Look, in as much as I respect the attacking football PSG and Bayern played, serious questions linger about that scoreline. Let's strip away the emotion and look at the underlying stats. The PSG versus Bayern match had 22 shots, while Arsenal against Atletico had 29. Now, let's look at the expected goals ratio. PSG versus Bayern yielded an XG of 4.96, whereas Atletico versus Arsenal was 3.72. What do these metrics tell you? They show both games were electrifying and attack-minded. However, the true difference lies in the defensive structures. An XG of 4.96 from just 22 shots indicates a shambolic defense rather than a magnificent attack. PSG had 5 shots on target and all 5 went in. Conversely, 3.72 expected goal from 29 shots shows a potent attack meeting a resolute, highly organised defence. Every attacking move from Atletico and Arsenal was thwarted by brilliant defensive blocks. Clarence Seedorf said it perfectly after the PSG Bayern game. What he saw was terrible defending, not just quality attacking. He mentioned that if he had to pick a team capable of beating either of them in the final, it would be Arsenal, purely because of our tactical discipline. I would much rather listen to seasoned professionals who have played the game at the highest level than emotional commentators online.
Wow, I wish the casuals were watching the way you dissect everything tactically. But based on those first legs, do you honestly think Arsenal or Atletico stand a chance against Bayern or PSG in a one-off final?
I can see you're still slightly swayed by the scorelines, which is natural. But football isn't played on paper, and it remains remarkably unpredictable. If we look back to last season, a similar scenario played out with that high-scoring 13-goal thriller between Barcelona and Inter Milan. I sat down, analysed both semis, and concluded that either Barcelona or Inter would get obliterated if they faced Arsenal or PSG in the final. You cannot leak goals at the same rate you score them. It is fundamentally unbalanced. You might argue this Bayern and PSG are vastly superior to that Barca or Inter side, but based on what we saw in Paris, they are still structurally flawed. Both PSG and Bayern thrive on bringing chaos. They love it, and they wouldn't have it any other way. But what they fail to understand is that you cannot feed chaos with chaos. For instance, earlier this season, Bayern tried to bring chaos to the Emirates. What did Arsenal do? We used calmness to control their chaos, and Bayern were beaten black and blue. It was their heaviest loss of the season. People point to our loss against PSG last season, but I will maintain this. PSG does not beat a fully fit Arsenal squad. If the board hadn't failed Mikel Arteta in that winter transfer window, we would be having this conversation as the defending champions. Furthermore, historical meetings between Atletico and Bayern have always been tight, with Atletico often prevailing when it mattered most. A high-scoring tie does not inherently prove superiority over a balanced one. You wouldn't see a cricket score sure if Bayern or PSG faced us or Atletico, because neither of us will feed their chaos. It's not that our game was boring, both teams went for it, and the draw was a fair result. For those writing us off, let's politely remind them that Arsenal are still the team to beat in this competition. We are 13 games unbeaten. Let the team do the talking on the pitch.
You've hit the nail on the head there, mate. Nobody could explain it better. Before we pivot away from the Champions League,
Who are your standout performers from Madrid?
Every player put in a massive shift, but I must commend the defence. Diego Simeone set out in an attacking 4-4-2, but our backline was resolute, thwarting threats from both the flanks and central channels. Piero Hincapié put in a defensive masterclass, rendering an aggressive Giuliano Simeone completely anonymous, whilst also assisting Gabriel in doubling up on Griezmann and Alvarez. William Saliba was an absolute stalwart. He commanded the central areas valiantly, dictated the rhythm, and was instrumental in our build-up play from the back. Ben White also did a stellar job nullifying Ademola Lookman down the right channel. He had a few shaky moments, but his overall contribution was solid. David Raya was heroic between the sticks. He made crucial saves to keep the tie balanced, and his distribution from the back was flawless. And he was my second highest performer of the night. Victor Gyökeres led the line brilliantly and took his penalty with absolute power. Martin Odegaard controlled the tempo beautifully, and his substitution led to a temporary loss of control before we regained our footing. However, my man of the match has to be Declan Rice. He was both silk and steel. He completed 83 passes, the most by an English midfielder in a Champions League semi-final, kept things ticking, marshalled the midfield, and worked doubly hard to regain dominance when Odegaard came off. Overall, we left the Metropolitano unbeaten with a solid foundation.
The whole squad dug deep to put us in a prime position for the Emirates leg. Right, let's pivot to the Premier League title sprint. We've got another massive fixture this weekend against Fulham. Beat them and we go 6 points clear of Man City, who don't play Everton until Monday night. Mate, how do we approach this one?
The focus and approach remain exactly the same. Block out the external noise and live in the present. The present is where we shape our future history and correct past mistakes. When you play for Arsenal, the sole aim is to win, regardless of the occasion. Against Fulham, the mindset is singular. We go out to secure the 3 points. Tactically, I'm pleased we could flex our squad depth against Atletico, resting key players who will now be fresh for the weekend. The strategy must be total suffocation. We need to draw the first blood. We tend to struggle against low blocks if we concede first due to our inherent pragmatism, so scoring early is paramount. We have a defence capable of protecting a lead, allowing us to build on it. Every single goal matters at this stage of the run-in. Our attack needs to lock in. If we score first, we won't have issues adding to the tally, but we absolutely must avoid chasing the game.
Speaking of City, they wanted to swap 2 of their fixtures, but the Premier League rejected it. Now they're crying foul, claiming the league is actively sabotaging their title charge. What do you make of that? Do you think the fixture list actually hands Arsenal an advantage in this run-in?
I genuinely laughed when I first heard their complaint. I vividly remember a couple of months ago when Arsenal had to play 3 away games in the league, coupled with a Champions League away fixture and a Carabao Cup away tie. That's 5 away games in 13 days. We didn't complain. We didn't write to the FA demanding a schedule change. We took it on the chin and moved forward. So it surprises me to hear them begging the FA for favours. The FA knows it would compromise the integrity of the competition to grant such an unattainable request. I simply don't understand the narrative that the board is against them. It's not as if their schedule is vastly more congested than ours. We still have to navigate a Champions League semi-final and, God willing, the final. But they need to sit down, stop crying foul, and accept that the FA isn't favouring anyone.
Spot on, mate. Take it on the chin. So how do we set up against Fulham? Who makes you start in 11?
At this stage of the season, I back whoever the gaffer selects. We don't have enough games left to be second guessing. I know Mikel wants this win just as much as the fans do. I just hope Jurrien Timber is fully recovered from his knock, and we pray for no further injuries.
Right, let's broaden the lens to the transfer window and managerial gossip. The latest from Sky Sports' Cave Solekol is that Fabregas, currently doing well at Como, views Arsenal as his long-term managerial target, seemingly bypassing Chelsea.
Mate, what are your feelings on Cesc potentially taking over from Arteta down the line?
Yes.
First and foremost, it is a complete disservice to be discussing a new manager while Arteta is out there giving his absolute all to deliver a historic season. Regarding Fabregas, he is undeniably doing a commendable job at Como in Italy. However, managing a smaller club with modest expectations is night and day compared to the pressure cooker of Arsenal. The only conceivable scenario where Arsenal should consider a younger, less proven coach is if Arteta dominates for years, wins everything, and voluntarily seeks a new challenge. Heaven forbid, if Arteta leaves before securing major honours, I would be vehemently against us hiring a young coach. It would be akin to hitting the reset button. The way a serial winner or a highly experienced coach manage high stakes situations is vastly different from a young manager learning on the job. We've seen Arteta himself hesitate on bold decisions in the past. Decisions a seasoned veteran might make instinctively. We would likely witness those same growing pains with Fabregas.
Fair point, well made. But let's play devil's advocate. Say Arteta has won it all, moves on, and Fabregas signals his availability. Would you have reservations given how he forced his way out to Barcelona and later won the Premier League with our fiercest rivals, Chelsea? Would you be for or against his appointment?
Speaking purely as a fan, his departure left a bitter taste. It triggered a domino effect with players like Samir Nasri following him out the door. I understand the pull of returning to your boyhood club. We suffered a similar fate with Jose Antonio Reyes when we were forced to swap him for Julio Baptista. However, Fabregas should have allowed Arsenal to negotiate a fair market value rather than forcing us to sell him to Barcelona on the cheap. If we had received his true valuation, I wouldn't have harboured any ill will. Regarding his move to Chelsea, I actually hold nothing against him, and he wanted to return to Arsenal, but Arsene Wenger closed that door. That wasn't his fault. Ultimately, if he were appointed to manage Arsenal, he would have my full backing. He is an Arsenal icon, and the past is the past. But again, it's highly disrespectful to Mikel to entertain this whilst he is bleeding for the badge. Let's dead this thought for now.
The gaffer is definitely going to deliver major silverware, I'm sure of it. The bloke has dragged us out of the trenches. Moving on to transfer news. Reports suggest Arsenal are on the verge of signing 17-year-old Red Star Belgrade attacking midfielder Vasilije Kostov.
It's rumoured to be a 12 million euros fee, rising to 20 million euros with add-ons. Mate, have you checked this lad out?
To be entirely honest, I only heard the name when the news broke. The first thing I did was check in with Ben Mattison. He's an exceptional scout, currently doing some work for FC Como, funnily enough. To my surprise, Ben actually tweeted about Kostov's prospects over a year ago. I quickly pulled up some compilation footage and he looks a thoroughly decent prospect. He possesses a fantastic passing range, both vertically and diagonally. While raw aspects of his game still need developing, at 17, with the right tutelage at London Colney, he could be an absolute steal for Arsenal. Let's wait until the ink is dry though.
Look, if you are tired of the emotional hyperbole and reactive chatter that dominates football media today, you have found your sanctuary. Here at Arsenal Inside Out, we don't deal in cheap clickbait. We deal in cold, hard, tactical truths. We dissect the Arsenal the way the professionals do, from structural breakdowns on the pitch to forensic analysis of the transfer market. So if you've enjoyed the tactical deep dives, the debates, and you genuinely found today's content worthy of your time, do us a massive solid and hit that subscribe button down below for Arsenal Inside Out on YouTube. Before we wrap up, we have to mention the Arsenal women. They are absolutely flying. They won the first leg of their Champions League semi-final and are on the cusp of another European final. Domestically, they just smashed Leicester 7-0 to keep their faint WSL title hopes alive. What are your thoughts on the girls?
As I've stated previously, Renée Slegers commands my utmost respect for the transformative work she's done since taking the reins. If not for that minor blip earlier in the season, we would firmly top the domestic league table right now as the world champion. As it stands, the team simply needs to win their remaining fixtures and pray Manchester City slip up. While it looks mathematically improbable, a tiny 1% chance can quickly shift to a 50-50 scenario if results go our way, and we just have to be in a position to capitalise. Regarding the Champions League second leg, they need to believe. They've gone to Lyon and done it before, they can do it again. Having watched the first leg, Arsenal were by far the superior side, and the scoreline genuinely didn't reflect our dominance. If they build on that performance, they will undoubtedly come out on top in the end.